Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. We are opening up our season. Good to see everyone and hope you had a good summer. There we are. This hearing is being live streamed. I'm Councillor Janet Evans, and I will be chairing this meeting. The committee for this hearing comprises Councillor Laura Burns, Councillor Linda Wade, and me. We are joined by David Williams from the Council's licensing team, our legal officer, Lindsay Lemasurier. Also with us are our committee officers, Holly Weaver and Nima Mahudin. Before we start the hearing for this case, just a few ground rules. Please keep your microphones on mute until you are invited to speak, as only 2 microphones can be in use at any one time. Please make sure mobile phones are on silent. Thank you. This case before us today is to vary a license for Secours Café Aero 1807, sorry if I mispronounced it, 137 to 141 Brompton Road. I confirm that I have no declaration of interest to make regarding this item. Do the other members have any declarations to make? Councillor Burns?
No declarations, thank you, Chair.
Councillor Wade?
No declarations to declare, Madam.
Thank you, colleagues. For clarity, I will outline the procedure of the meeting, which has already been circulated with the papers. First, the licensing officer, Mr. Williams, will give a brief outline of the application. Please, could you confirm your attendance?
I am here, Chair.
Thank you. Then I will ask the applicant's legal advisor, Mr. Robert Sunderland, to present his submission. He will have up to a maximum of 10 minutes to do so. He is joined by his client. There's only one of you, right? One client today.
Chair, I'm Robert Sutherland. With me is the agent for the applicant, Mr. Killick.
Okay.
The applicant, unfortunately, is not present due to domestic issues that have arisen.
Okay, thank you. Then questions may be asked of the applicant by members of the committee, the legal officer, the responsible authorities, and the objectors. Next, the objectors, Ms. Caroline Stocklin. Okay, thank you. And Mr. Simon Cooper will present their objections. They will have up to a maximum of 10 minutes each to do so. Please, could you confirm your attendance? You have, thank you. Then questions may be asked of the objectors by members of the committee, the legal officer, the applicant, and the responsible authorities. After this, we will ask our legal officer, Ms. Lemasurier, to deal with any questions she may have, and then she will lead on the draft to all of the parties prior to the hearing. The list of potential conditions has been circulated. Please, could you confirm your attendance?
Present, Chair.
Okay. Then finally, we will turn to the governance team to see if any issues have been raised that we need to consider. There will be no summing up and the meeting will end. I would like to remind everyone that the committee has read the papers, which comprise the main pack and the additional submission from licensing that have been circulated to the parties. So there is no need to repeat their content, please, but please do feel free to draw our attention to certain points. Let's get going. Now, I would like to ask governance, can you put up the diagram of the premises inside, please? Upstairs and downstairs, if you have it. Oh, sorry, who are you?
Francesco Brenta, Knightsbridge Association.
Okay, You're representing them, or you're a member, or you're a resident?
Planning and Executive Committee. So yes, I'm representing them. I believe I'm the only one here today.
Did he make a representation? Governance, I didn't catch your name, Francesco.
Francesco Brenta, B-R-E-N,
Did he make a representation?
Yeah.
No.
No, so you can't speak. I was just trying to establish whether, but you can amplify anybody's evidence, but you can't speak because you didn't make a representation.
Okay. Good. Okay, let's see. Okay, can you zoom in a bit on that? Is that possible? Okay. So it'd be very helpful to us when the applicant speaks if you can advise us what we're talking about, which areas. Mr. Williams, please can you outline the case for us and advise if there has been any additional documentation received?
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everyone. Today's application has been submitted by Mr. Burke Coker for a variation of the premises licence in respect of Secursi Cafe Errol, 1807, at 137 to 141 Brompton Road, London, Southwest 3, 1QF. The current licence permits the sale by retail of alcohol on the premises, Sunday to Wednesday, 1200 hours to 2300 hours, and Thursday to Saturday, 1200 hours to midnight. The applicant is seeking to vary the premises licence to permit the sale by retail of alcohol on the premises on Thursday to Saturday from 1200 hours to 0300 hours, and also to include the provision of late night refreshment Thursday to Saturday from 2300 hours to 0300 hours. A summary of the variation requested can be found on page 6 of today's main bundle. The licensing authority has received 10 representations, including comments from Knightsbridge Association, Lancelot Place Knightsbridge, and Knightsbridge Residence Management Company Limited in respect to this application. A summary of those representations can be found on page 7 to 8 of the main bundle, and a copy of the full representations can be found at Appendix C. Council record shows that at the time this report was written, there was one noise complaint received in the preceding 24 months, and 3 temporary event notices have been submitted in the past 12 months. The Planning Department has not made a formal representation in connection with this application, and other than the list of proposed conditions that are to be considered if the committee were minded to grant the application, I'm not aware of any additional documents. That concludes the summary of today's application, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Now for the applicant's case. Mr. Sunderland, please can you advise if there have been any amendments to your application?
Chair, thank you. The amendment has, I think, is reflected in the conditions document and also conditions that were agreed with the police. So the licensable on the additional bundle, I'm just looking to see whether I can see it there. In essence, the licensable activities will cease at 2 o'clock, and the premises then under condition 34, everyone will be will leave the premises before 3 o'clock on Thursdays to Saturdays, and then no later than 2300 on Sundays to Wednesdays, which is condition 34 on the additional conditions put forward by the Council's legal advisor. There is a separate document, Chair, which I have seen, which form the basis of an agreement with the police. And it may be that your legal officer had seen it or not. I can see shaking head. It seems to be most of it is covered within the additional document, but there are some additional conditions which I can take you through. I feel duty-bound to put it forward because it was the basis of discussions with the police.
do you have a copy that you can give to governance to photocopy and hand around? Because I think it will be helpful for people to see, because we certainly haven't had sight of it.
I do. There is some writing on it for which I apologise. There's nothing, I think, that will cause any confusion, but please ignore my, my scribble.
Okay, shall we just wait 5 minutes while that gets copied, and then
Thank
are
you.
you going to refer to it presumably in your presentation?
I
guess?
think I'm duty bound to it. It's part of an agreement with the police, and I just feel that I thought it had come in from the police direct to yourselves.
No. Okay, so while we wait, and obviously your 10 minutes will start when it comes back, can we just clarify one point, which just... So the premises... Oh, can you put the plan back up on the screen, please? Sorry. Usually we see a red line around the premises, but that isn't always the case.
Yes.
So I just want to be clear, for the purposes of this application, the premises is the internal extent of the ground floor and the basement. Is that what you're saying the premises is?
No. The premises is only in relation to the basement. And
Is that where the red line is? Because
it's not particularly clear. It's not particularly clear on my copy either, if I may say. It's the if you look at the premises, it looks like there's a central block, and then there are rooms around the outside and a corridor around the outside.
Is this the basement
only
you're looking
licensed area is that central block.
So sorry, there's a red block on the basement section on the right-hand
Yes.
side, and I
Yes.
think looking at the legend, I managed to squint, it said ambit of alcohol or something like that,
Correct,
which I
yeah.
presume related to your initial application. So then I was confused as to whether, well, I assumed that your extended alcohol hours only related to that red area, and then I queried with licensing whether your proposed late night refreshment would be on the ground floor and the basement floor.
No,
Perhaps if you could just elaborate, that would be
it's
helpful.
only, I think the area extends, where the arrow is, you have the that room. There's then a small room slightly above that, and then above that is a larger area. I
So-
believe these areas used to be the bank vaults. It's an old bank. So it's those three areas, I believe, the red line goes around, though I accept it's not particularly clear.
So, okay,
So the only licensable activities would be in that area of the basement.
sorry, can I just... Yeah, sorry, I'm showing we haven't got like a policy thing. We're all a bit unclear.
Apologise for interruption. Can I just go to where the lady is, and so I can show you with the mouse arrow where the actual licensed area is?
Yeah?
Thank you.
Objectors, I don't know if you were clear as to the extent of the premises and where the licensable activities were.
That was going to be one of my questions, Chair, was regarding the plan.
Thank you. Yeah. No, they're talking about just the basement there, aren't they, I think?
That looks like doubling the capacity.
So, okay. I mean, it might have been helpful to put a revised plan in with the application, to be honest with you, but here we are.
So the ground floor is, as I understand, is not licensed at all.
Sorry, can you repeat that? I didn't hear
The
what you said.
ground floor is
Yeah.
not licensed at all. I appreciate the plan on the licence seems to indicate that it is, but there is a condition in there which talks about sale of alcohol only in the basement.
Yes.
The licence only covers late night refreshment and alcohol.
So when we're talking about the licence area, let's talk about the blue E shape, just to be clear.
Correct.
And at the moment, on your existing premise, I mean, obviously, you get to do your presentation, and I'm kind of jumping the gun a bit, but I just wanted to be clear. At the moment, on your existing licence, the area in red, which doesn't include the top bar of the E, I think it's just the bottom two bits, I think, is the licensed alcohol area. Or are you saying it's currently in the whole area?
Just the area.
I believe I think it's the whole of the E, as I understand it, which is licensed.
Now,
I believe so.
Dave, I mean, we had this conversation yesterday, it's quite hard to tell from the plan. I don't know if you've got any comments.
I'm just looking at that plan. It does appear that red is actually in the top bit as well, bordering it. It's hard to tell with that plan, to be honest.
Yeah, okay.
Madam Chairman,
Yeah, it's
sorry to
very
interrupt
light.
again. I've dealt with the original application.
Yeah.
I've just logged into my server. I
Yeah.
will email the clear copy of the plan, which is not scanned, so we can all see. It's only the blue area that is licensed, not the ground
Currently.
floor.
All right, so as it stands, the blue area is currently licensed for alcohol sales
Correct.
in the basement, and your extension
It's only
relates
for this area.
for the late night refreshment and for the... So
Yes.
you're proposing just basically to have the basement open, but
Correct.
not the upstairs shop?
Correct.
Okay, so that I was a bit confused on that. Okay. Do you understand that?
I think,
I'd like to know why we have the one line which is...
oh, speak in the mic, please. But it has to be that everyone can hear it.
I'm confused about the plan that's presented in the pack insofar as one is quite clearly red and actually it's quite hard on the paperwork to see the finer line. And I just wonder, so are we saying the centre block with the area as outlined on the screen is the area that you're applying for?
Councillor, correct. It's that, I think it was described as the inner E, and it's that area. It's the only area that we say is currently licensed, and it's the only area for which this application relates. The ground floor operates as a patisserie and will continue to do so.
The only
No,
other
we're going to let him do his presentation, then you can ask him a question. Yeah, so we will proceed with your presentation, and then we will have a thorough question and answers. So please carry on.
Chair, thank you. So the name of the premises is Sakoji Jafarel, and the brand is a Turkish brand, and they came over to this country earlier this year. They're looking at developing their brand on a worldwide basis, but in the UK, the first location is this particular premises. The premises operates, as we've talked about already, with the ground floor operating as a patisserie, and that has, and I mention this purely because I know it's referred to in the representations, that does not have a premises license, but it does have a tables and chairs license in relation to an external area. In relation to the premises itself, as I've indicated already, it's a bank or former bank, and the area that the license relates to is the basement and the former vaults, I would have said, of the bank, and how the premises is operated is in relation to private bookings. So it operates very much as a private dining area. The conditions are geared around that. The area is booked out, and the person who's booked it will invite their guests to the premises. The premises, as I say, operates. It's seated, tables, waiter-waitress service, and it is very much just a private booking dining area. It has on occasion operated for private dry hire, which of course it's able to do without a license. But the purpose of this application is to enable the food to be provided to a slightly later time. And although many people who hire out the premises will arrange for their own alcohol to be delivered and supply their own, there are occasions when they do look for us to provide the alcohol and additional refreshment. So the purpose of this application is to enable that to happen. As I've indicated, the hours are reduced in relation to the application. That's based on discussions which have taken place with the police and also with the licensing authority. I'm hoping that the additional document which was the basis of discussions with the police, that you now have. It was agreed as part of those discussions that the licensable activities would cease at 2. Premises would close to the public no later than 2:30. Indeed, the premises, I would say, is never open to the public in relation to that basement area because it is a private dining area. No more than 5 patrons should be permitted to smoke outside. I think that's also covered in the additional document from your legal advisor, condition 35. And that area is monitored. A written dispersal policy to be in place, and that sets out the requirements for the dispersal policy. There's a condition which deals with parking. There are 2 car parks which are nearby, which reference will be made within the website, and also those who are booking the premises, so that they'll be referred to that car parking provision. There's a condition about not providing shisha. It's a bank vault. There is no way that anyone could treat it as anything other than an enclosed space and a non-smoking premises. The consumption of alcohol is on the premises only. It is an on-licence already, but that, I suppose, reinforces that. There's then a condition in relation to staff training. Condition 8 is reflected, I think, in your legal advisor's condition 36. Condition 36 is more detailed, and I have no difficulties with the revised wording in condition 36. Condition 9 is already a condition on the licence, but is repeated, that it's only by waiter-waitress service to persons seated at tables. And then there's right-to-work checks and a management plan. They were the additional issues which, as I say, were discussed with the police. And should the committee grant the variation, we, of course, invite the committee to impose those conditions, or indeed the reworded conditions which have been put forward as suggestions by your learned advisor. In relation to the application itself, I would submit that if granted, it will not exacerbate any of the issues and problems which are highlighted within your policy. And the reason for that is based on the operation of the premises, on the food which, of course, is provided, on the waiter-waitress service and the seated patrons. The capacity would be a maximum of, although I'm referring to a figure of 50, in reality it would be, I would anticipate less than that, given that it's private dining only. Part of the conditions, of course, require regular meetings with the residents, minimum of 2 a year. And the other final point I would commend, Chair, is that the authorities have been satisfied with the discussions and with the conditions which are proposed, and no representations, of course, have been made in relation to that, and I would commend those elements, that they're satisfied that we're not going to add or exacerbate to the current issues in the area. Chair, I'm sure that there will be questions, so it's probably best if I stop at that point and leave it to the questions that you will no doubt have and your colleagues.
Thank you very much. I'll start with Councillor Burns.
Thanks, Chair. Okay, I have a few questions. Firstly, RBKC has a midnight policy, so why do you want to extend that, considering we do aim for a midnight policy?
The premises is able to operate on a dry hire basis without any licensable activities, and has done so. We appreciate that there is a policy. The discussions that we've had with the authorities have been about whether the operation itself would create or cause concern in relation to the licensing objectives. The operation inside of the building, it's accepted that it's an old bank vault, so what happens in the premises remains in the premises. The issues in relation to dealing with people who are leaving the premises, that is part of the dispersal policy. People who come there will either come by their own vehicle, or we anticipate it will be more from the purpose of a private hire or taxi. And that's how they will leave. We'll obviously provide the means by which, of course, people can leave without causing any disturbance to local residents. It's considered that I've forgotten the wording of your question, Councillor, so I apologise. But in relation to the hours, we say that we're able to do this because of the private hire, and this is seen as an extension to that, because it covers the ability to provide the alcohol and also the food, as opposed to that stopping at 11 o'clock. I'm hoping that covers the question. If you feel I've missed it, then please just remind me of your precise wording. So I'm afraid.
The RBKC midnight policy. So just a bit more detail. So why do you think that you should be the exception, if you will?
The exception, I think, Councillor, is coming back to the fact that we have operated without licence through till later hours. We've also operated to later hours with a temporary event notice. On those occasions that we've done that, we have not caused any issues. There's not been any complaints in relation to those operations. We say that establishes that we're not going to exacerbate the problems that are identified in your policy. The application conditions reinforce everything that we're saying in relation to the operation, and indeed the conditions themselves place restrictions on the operation of the premises. So in essence, we have to have it clear by 3 o'clock. We have to stop any licensable activity by 2 o'clock. So it's much clearer, we would say, as part of this licence than we currently operate.
Thank you. And in your in some of your tents, speaking of which, it was open till 5 a.m. How did that go? What does that include? Was it the whole venue open? Was it just the basement E? We're calling it E now. This is what it's called. Or was it the whole thing? And also, could I have capacity for the full venue, as well as you said 15 for the E?
Sorry, 50, 50.
Oh, 50.
My apologies if I
That's
mispronounced.
a big difference.
It's 50, 50.
All right.
Although that's a maximum capacity, as it were, I think in reality, because it's private dining, it will be less. In relation to the events, they were only for the inner E in the basement, and the events went successfully, and by successful I mean not only obviously for the organisers and for those attending, but from the point of view that there was no disturbance caused in relation to the leaving of the premises at the later time.
Okay, I'm going to...
I think they didn't operate through to the final, did they?
Because it's in relation to that. Okay. Anything else to add to that?
I was just checking whether they'd actually operated through till 5 or whether that was just the application, but they did operate through till 5.
Okay, and my last question at the moment, if you will, Chair, is talking about your dispersal and smoking areas. We obviously have your paperwork to say what you do, but how do you actually enforce it? Do you have security? Do you tell patrons what they need to do? How is it monitored? And you say it is 5 people smoking in at one time. How do you monitor that? And yeah, how do you make sure that they are sort of in their designated area, etc.?
The extent of the premises is covered by CCTV. In relation to the smoking, because we're dealing with small numbers, it is easier to manage. It's a basement area. If people are looking to go smoking, they will have to leave the rooms, as you can see, are in the centre. They would go up via a staircase. They would have to be speaking to, or they'd be approached by a member of staff who would ask them where they're going, because all of the toilet facilities, washroom facilities are all in the basement. So they'll be asked where they're going. If they then indicate that they're going smoking, then they'll be sent to and accompanied to the smoking area, and it will be supervised by a staff member. On occasions when it's appropriate for security to be present, then it will be covered by the security operative. But otherwise it will be covered by member of staff.
Where is your smoking area? If we can look, so on the left-hand side would be Brompton Road, and on the right hands. So where is the actual smoking area?
On the side road when we exit.
I understand it's by it's at the top of, I think it's Hans Road and Brompton Road, so it's towards that corner.
Yeah, Hans Road, yeah.
I think it's Hans Road.
Hans Road, yeah.
So you're saying on the corner, is that correct?
I believe so, Chair, yes.
Does
It's just
your
down
manager
from
know?
the corner onto Hans Road.
Is that
Well,
correct?
Chair, if you look at the screen where the mouse cursor was, go back where the exit is. That's the Hans Road, not the corner entry, the other one. Go further right, and a bit more. There is a door. Yeah, that's where the exit to the Hans Road is, and that's where the smoking area will be.
And it will be just to the left of that area.
Thank you. Councillor Wade.
Thank you, Chair. Can you tell me what is your definition of a VIP, and how do they become a VIP?
It's a private dining area, so it will be anybody really
No,
who...
I'm asking an individual. How does an individual qualify to be a VIP?
It's a guest. So if the premises is hired by an individual, their guests will be the VIPs, but it is only guests. It's not open to anybody just to turn up at the premises and say, I'm going to be a VIP. It will all be pre-booked. And so the VIPs are the guests of the individual who has booked the room.
How far in advance do they have to make a booking? Because it's presumed that this is for private rental only, no walk-ins. And so how far in advance do people have to book?
In reality, it will be booked out for some time before, but the minimum period is a week, I believe, in order for them to make sure that everything that is needed is available and ready. But in reality, it's usually much longer.
So if it's a private hire room, what type of, is there music, is there dancing, is there any entertainment?
It is private dining. It is, there are alcoholic refreshments that go with that as well as any other refreshment. The music is all incidental.
So when you say, because you referred in your presentation that either you provide the food or people can buy in food, what do you mean by dining?
We're talking here about table, knives, forks, plates. That's what we're talking about. I'm not talking about anything else.
You're a patisserie above, so what is your food offer when it comes to dining?
So the food is prepared when it's ordered at the premises. It's prepared in the kitchen in the basement. The food will generally be of a Turkish cuisine that's provided, and it will be waiter-waitress service at the table. Where the premises is operated as a dry hire, then the agreement in relation to the food usually would involve obviously a third party. They would be delivering it, and there'll be arrangements made in relation to the service of that food.
I have some other questions, if I may, Chair. Is there a separate entrance to this VIP area, or do you have to go through the main body of the building?
You can get it through the main body of the building. The intention at the moment is that in fact, if you look at the ground floor of the premises, there's an arrow. Oh, it's just moved. Yes, there is an entrance.
No, I mean, is there a separate entrance from the street to this location?
Yes, that's where the arrow is, Councillor.
All right.
So that goes directly into the staircase, which takes you down into the basement area. It is possible to gain access from the door on the corner, but for the private events, access will be via the door that I've just indicated.
Sorry, it's not weird. So I know the plan, well, at least my plan's not very clear. I was just trying to work out what your staffing level would be there, because it's an interesting layout. So how many staff do you think would be available exclusive for that area? And I can't see a fire exit strategy on this.
Focusing in relation to the staff levels, Councillor, there's a condition, as you will have seen, that just looking for the wording.
I can see that you have will be premises waiter and waitress service only.
Yes.
Only,
No.
but I was just wondering what the staffing level was.
Correct, but one of the conditions requires us to have an event manager. So the event manager is there, and that's, sorry, why I was looking for that. In addition to that, you'll have kitchen staff.
No,
chef,
I meant for,
KP.
for the private dining area.
Private dining area.
How many people do you think will be there to actually, because it's about monitoring, assessing,
Correct.
whether a person has capacity, if they have eaten, if, you know, there are a lot of things which somebody has to do, and that's an interesting layout. So
Yes.
if somebody was in the bottom half, it would be hard for them to monitor what's happening in the upper section.
I would anticipate that if all the rooms were occupied, then you would need to have probably 3 to 4 waiting staff. If only one of the areas is covered, you'd need to, I would have thought, 2 waiting staff. You have the manager who is dealing with the events and will be monitoring the welfare of the guests.
And the DPS, who's unfortunately not here today, how much experience do they have of operating a private dining area?
My understanding is that he's got 7 years experience in dealing with such venues.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Okay. Good questions, committee. So, first of all, are you planning to have shisha at the premises?
No.
Okay. How many parties can go on at one time?
Chair, I'm reminded that there will be no parties at the premises. It is private dining. In relation to private dining events, I think in effect there could be 2 separate areas. The room which interlinks the 2, I think, is part of the package. I don't think that could operate on its own. So at most you would have 2 private events. In reality, they tend to look at the basement as one, and so it ends up just being a booking for one family or group. That's how it's operated.
So, I'm trying to figure out what your business is. Are you saying, you're saying it's not parties,
Nope.
but it's private dining. So, wouldn't that be special occasions, things like that?
It could be, Chair, but it also could be that they're coming to London, and it could be a group that are just meeting up.
So some people want privacy, is what
Yes.
you're saying.
Yes.
So they will book. Now, on the menu, is it going to, when you say private dining till 2 o'clock in the morning, what kind of food are you going to have? I understand Turkish food, but is that, because upstairs you have cake, it's a salon de thé. Are you planning to have meat and rice, or what are you planning to serve there?
Correct, Chair. It would be meat and rice dishes. There would obviously be vegetarian dishes too, but it would be Turkish themed. The patisserie. Obviously, I have no doubt that cakes and some of the delicacies that are on offer on the ground floor will also be a part of the offer in the basement. I have no doubt of that, having been to the premises and seen the delicacies which are on offer and resisted the temptation to eat them. So I've no doubt that they will be there.
Right. Okay. And so conceivably, they could have business meetings, things like that, entertaining clients.
It is possible, Chair, yes. So far, I think it's been more groups, family groups, and there have been some friends, obviously, invited to that.
Okay. And I don't want to repeat myself, so.
I think part of the attraction, obviously, is the rooms that we're talking about are bank vaults. So I think the part of the attraction is that.
Okay, and I'm asking you this question, including my solicitor can answer. when you say families, are you including children?
Children would only be there with their parents, yes.
Okay, now do we need a special rule on that, Lindsay? Because he might have underage people in there.
Well, they have a Challenge 25 policy, and I think one of the conditions offered was no children there after 11 o'clock anyway, didn't I see?
No children unless they're supervised. Again, we're talking about children with parents. Generally speaking, I would hope, certainly from my experience, parents would be operating in a responsible manner. Obviously, we will have all the staff trained in relation to the age verification policy. If anyone looks under 25, they'll obviously be asked for ID. If there's an issue in relation to the age, then it'll be very clear because we're talking about small groups, identified groups, and we have a manager there who's actually dealing with them. I don't anticipate there would be a problem in relation to children being with their family in such circumstances.
Let me, Dave, could you comment on that, please? How would that work? Because they'll be serving alcohol, it's late. What would be our ruling? I don't want to leave it as a gray area. Can you comment on that?
Okay, from a licensing perspective, Challenge 25 is sufficient to cover those issues that may arise with underage drinking. As long as Challenge 25 is carried out, there shouldn't be a problem.
So you're saying children can come in, but not served? Do you agree with that, Lindsay?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there'd be a breach of the licensing policy. They'd be prosecuted if they were serving underage children anyway. So you've got the Challenge 25 policy. You've got, you know, potential prosecution if they do something wrong. So that is fine. I mean, at the end of the day, children do go into restaurants with their parents anyway. So as long as it's managed, I don't really see that as being an issue, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yes, Dave?
Yeah, I think it's important to note that it's children with their parents. It's not unsupervised children, so perfectly
So we're
acceptable.
treating it as a restaurant?
Yeah.
Is that how we're doing this? Okay.
Well, this application just relates to Thursdays to Saturdays. So
Yes.
we're not looking at the entire licence, it's just the variation aspect. So we're looking at midnight until, well, I think 2 or 3 o'clock, whatever. We'll discuss the times eventually. So whether there'll be loads of children there at that time or not, I don't know. But there's Challenge 25 in place. They won't be unsupervised. They'll be there with their parents. If they do something wrong, then obviously then that they can be prosecuted. I think that's enough.
Okay. Now, any questions from our legal officer? Oh, sorry. Yes?
Is it possible for me to ask about your delivery policy? You mentioned that there are occasions when deliveries will be made to the venue. It's presumed these are by motorbikes, and therefore, do you have a delivery bike policy? Is there a separate place where they enter and give you the food? Can you just talk me through that? Because delivery bikes do make a noise. They do tend to be slightly unruly, and therefore that it could be a potential disturbance to residents. So I'd like you to talk me through that procedure, please.
Councillor Wade, are you talking about deliveries to the premises or deliveries from the premises?
All right, it's a two-part question.
Yes.
I think that we do need to have a delivery bike policy. I was just thinking that if people are going to be delivering to the venue, how are they physically going to do it? Are they going to come through the main part of the store? Are they going to come down? And the same thing applies if people are going to be providing stuff from...
Can I just interject here? Sorry. So there's obviously, they've already got existing condition 25, which says if the premises licence holder decides to provide a delivery service like Deliveroo or Uber, then they shall have a policy. So there's already a requirement to have a delivery policy. Whether they do deliveries yet, I don't know. Perhaps they can clarify in a minute. But I think what's important to note, this is a variation. They haven't applied for off sales, so they can't.
No, but the issue is that if they're having events,
Yeah.
and there is the provision for food to be delivered to the venue.
Well, there's an existing condition,
therefore,
isn't there?
In fact, we do need to have a policy or an understanding
Deliveries
of
to
how they're going to manage it.
Okay, deliveries to the premises, existing condition 14, shall not take place between 2200 hours and 0700 hours. So that is what they're restricted on in terms of deliveries to the premises. And in terms of deliveries from the premises, they are required to have a delivery policy, but obviously they haven't applied for late night refreshment outdoors, which would be sending hot food beyond the premises after 11, nor have they applied for off-sale. So if they were going to deliver food, it wouldn't be hot food or hot drinks, and it wouldn't be alcohol. It could just be anything but that. I don't know whether they do that or not, and whether they're intending on doing that for the extended hours, but maybe they can elaborate.
But forgive me, it comes back to the management of the venue. If you're going to have bikes arriving, and potentially people could be ordering from the site for additional food to be delivered, there's nothing that doesn't say that. And I think it would be nice to have clarification as to how they wish to approach this.
Councillor, forgive me, because it may have been loose wording from myself that may have misled you down a particular path. In respect of the operation here, there is no intention for them to be providing Deliveroo service or Just Eat service off of the premises. So the food that is prepared on the premises will be consumed on the premises. And your Leonard legal advisor has indicated that there's a condition which deals with if we changed the operation and did that, then there's a condition on the licence which addresses it, but there is no intention to change that aspect. The other part that you, I think, are referring to was that I indicated that the food that we provide would be of a Turkish cuisine. And
I understand that, but yes. Forgive me, but in your presentation, you said that there is the potential for you to prepare food on site, but in addition, that somebody organising something could bring in food.
And that's my loose wording, I think, Councillor. I think in relation to that, by that I meant that they could bring their own caterers in, and their own caterers would prepare food on site and provide it for them. It's my loose wording, and I apologise, because I think I've misled you. In relation to deliveries to the premises, again, your Leonard legal advisor is absolutely correct. We have a condition there which limits the deliveries so that they can only take place up until 10 o'clock at night. And obviously, we comply with that, and there's no intention to change that. So my apologies. I think it's my loose wording, Councillor.
Thank you.
Okay, just one more thing, I think more for clarity for everyone. So the vault, the E that we're talking about, it's all seated. Can you tell me how many seats there are, and is there any standing areas? Because obviously if you're serving alcohol, maybe there's a little bar area. So I want to know, tell me what this map actually is representing.
So the seating layout, obviously, this is indicative in relation to the plans, and it may be set up slightly differently depending on what the client needs. But everything is seated. There will be a table service, and everyone is seated. The areas, there will be enough seats for everyone who is going to the premises, which is why I think, in reality, I don't think you'd ever get to 50, given the size and the way that it operates. But I'm trying to give you an idea as to the maximum numbers.
My question then, let's break it down. 50 people maximum, 50 chairs maximum. Where do you put it? And are there any spaces, if for example, maybe you only fit 40 chairs, but you have 50 people, where do they go? I want to know exactly, because this is what we're talking about, because you're talking about it being a restaurant, sitting, eating, nothing else. That's it. So I need to know the specifics.
There would never be an occasion when there are more people there than there are seats. That is, I suppose, reinforced by the condition that it's waiter-waitress service to persons who are seated at a table. So whatever the layout, will there be room where people can stand? Yes, of course, there will be areas where people can stand, but the service here is as private dining, and everybody who is attending will have a seat.
And is there a bar somewhere?
No bar at all. Sorry, Councillor, you did ask me that, and
Yeah.
I forgot to answer. There isn't a bar, so it's purely waiter-waitress.
I don't want to sound petty, but how many can you fit in the bottom bit? How many can you fit, like, realistically, as a, maybe I should ask the licensing agent, maybe he knows better. But how many tables are comfortably in each section, so we have an idea, and how many seats, please?
In the VIP room number 4, at the bottom where the arrow is about 18 to 20 people. And VIP room 1 can accommodate up to like 8 to 10. On the right top, VIP room 1, where the cursor is. So the other room is up to 8 to 10. That bit, that actually is not in use, but if anybody wants to have it doesn't have to be licensed area, but we put because it's in between these two rooms, we marked it as a licensed area, but that will not be kind of a separate room. That will be giving access to, if a big family wants to have, some families would like to have the ladies and kids separated in the rooms, and that will be the kind of a corridor between these two areas.
In reality, it's not a very big room, so the indication there is probably about 4, I think, and I don't think you'd get more than 4 or 5 in
So
there.
we still need seats for 30 more people. Where will that be?
Sorry, Chair, I don't understand.
It's 50.
10 more.
Oh, okay.
So how are you going to monitor it? And also, can you fit 10 in that little, the middle bit?
Yes, you can have, like I said, 8 to 10 people. You can easily fit 8 to 10 people. There are no chairs visible, but the ones, you see the corners around, they are seats which can easily accommodate up to like 4 or 5 people on this side, and 2 on this side, 2 on the left side. And you can put chairs there, so it can easily fit up to 10 people each room. And all the rooms are monitored. There are CCTV. If you zoom to the left corner, you will see the cameras angles. All the rooms are monitored with the cameras. They are recorded 24/7.
Okay. Okay, great. So it is restaurant seating, no standing, then there's no bar.
Yeah, there is no bar. Yeah.
Thank you.
Just if there's no bar, so presumably the waitress or waiter comes to the people and asks them what they want to drink, and then they collect them from the area saying alcohol. So there's no actual alcohol exposed. It's just a menu list.
You are correct, Madam Chairman. The pre-booking this is how it works. Basically, you approach to management. You have say, for example, guests coming overseas and they want to have a private dining, and they are selecting what they want to eat, what they want to drink in advance. So the alcohol will be served, it will be ready to be served on their table. and there will not be a bar where they will be saying, well, I want to try this drink, that drink, you know. It's not going to be like a normal restaurant where you can have a menu and select what you want to drink. So it will be all pre-booked and pre-arranged. In the case, if they run out of any alcohol for whatever they have anticipated, there will be same selection of alcohol available in the storage area, so they can purchase more
So
alcohol.
at the end of the meal, say they've ordered the wine or whatever for the main meal, they presumably can order a digestif afterwards. Right? I'm not quite sure whether I fully understood your response to Councillor Burns' question about how do you monitor how many people are in each of the rooms.
I think it is important to understand that this area in the basement is not open to the public. So we will not have unexpected people turning up to the premises. These are all pre-booked. And the reason they are pre-booked, you got limited amount of food for the people who are attending and limited amount of drinks for people who are attending. So obviously if they booked for, say, 20 people at the time of arrival, we will check how many they are attending. If there are any, maybe 2 or 3 more attending or less attending, that will be fine. But we will be, because it's pre-booked events, and not public access, it's so easy to monitor. On top of that, we've got CCTV covering all the areas that can be easily checked. And each event will have a event manager. You know, each booking will have an event manager who will be taking care of the guest while they are dining.
As it's a fact, you say sometimes you get families. We know what happens with families. Suddenly a family member appears, which might not have been catered for. That's all.
Okay. We're now going to move on. Any questions from our legal officer?
Yeah, just 3 questions. I just wanted to start off with, so just for the purposes of this application, the premises coined loosely is the ground floor and the basement floor, but the licence area is just the E. So I just wanted to make that clear. You're talking about a possible entrance down the basement. When you're operating, or when you do operate now, is the ground floor closed? Is like the shop bit normally closed? Does it look closed from the outside and it's just the downstairs bit?
For events that take place during the day, the upstairs would be open, but for the later times that we're looking at here, the upstairs would be closed.
What time does it close? What the ground floor opening and
The
closing
ground
times?
floor closes at around about 11.
Okay, fine. So for these later events, the ground floor will be closed and people will be using that special side entrance. Okay, that's one question. Thank you. You referenced having a pavement licence. Do you have an existing pavement licence, or has it expired, and will you be applying for another one? I think you had one on Hands Road for 2 tables and 4 chairs.
I'm not instructed in relation to it, and I don't think the agent knows in relation to the relation to the pavement licence. I believe it has a current one on Brompton Road, but I'm afraid I don't have the detail.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, even if you don't have one, and even if you do apply for a new one, you'd have to bring the tables and chairs in probably by 10 o'clock anyway. So, and it doesn't. The adjoining areas don't form part of the premises, so it's not really an issue.
Understood.
My last question is: so you're saying it's private dining, and I know this license this application is just for the extra hours. Existing condition 24, it doesn't tie alcohol to food. It just says alcohol shall be served by waiter-waitress service to people seated at tables. I just wanted your comments on that, because if it is like a true restaurant-type venue, I mean, obviously this can be for the condition session, would you consider tying in for those extra hours alcohol to also to food as well as seated customers and waiter-waitress service?
I think it's a good suggestion. I don't have any negative comments to make about it.
Okay, well, we'll discuss
I think
that
it's helpful.
in the conditions session, but if you want to
Yeah.
have a little think about it and then come back, it's just that obviously if you're going to be granted later hours, and obviously we can discuss hours separately, if you are going to be granted later hours and you're saying it is all about dining and there's no bar there, I just wanted your thoughts on also tying alcohol to food, so, and obviously you'll be able to comment on
I think
that
it's
as
a good
well.
suggestion.
That is it for questions from me.
Before you start your presentation, do you have any questions for the applicant? No? Okay. I am going to call a 3-minute comfort break, and then you can discuss among yourselves the conditions. Oh, you said you wanted to
No,
speak?
no, we need to do their presentation.
I know, I said I'm calling a break
I
first.
thought you said we were going to go straight into conditions. No, that's fine.
No, I didn't say that. I said that they should discuss the condition you just gave them. Okay? So we'll come back to you in 3 minutes.
Please be upstanding again for the committee.
Now for the objector's case. Ms. Stocklin and Mr. Cooper will be speaking, correct? Okay. Ms. Stocklin, would you like to start?
Hello, I'm Carolyn Stocklin. I'm a resident. I've been living in Knightsbridge with my family for over 10 years. I strongly object to this application, and I know the Knightsbridge Association also strongly objects to this application. There's 5 reasons why I object, or 4 reasons why I strongly object to this application.
Could you speak louder and into the mic?
Okay. So
don't look at us because you need the mic.
Okay, sorry, thank you. So I was saying I'm a resident in Knightsbridge. I've been living here for more than 10 years with my family. I also have my mother-in-law who lives in the same building as me. I strongly object to this application. So does the Knightsbridge Association, who sent via Paul Meitner an objection to this application. We feel the granting of this application would form a dangerous precedent, encouraging more premises to ask for a late-night application, and we've already had significant problems with the existing licenses that operate in the area. I'll go back to it a bit later with regards to the issues we face as residents. I would just like to say that one of the reasons, the initial reason why we object to it, is that Knightsbridge and Belgravia are residential areas and commercial areas. They're not historically for late-night entertainment. We've had more applications for restaurants that are not family restaurants in the area. We feel the reason why we have more applications for that is that there's less applications granted in Soho, Mayfair, so they come to our area to ask for those applications. There's been I hope I'm not too loud. There's been a significant degradation of Brompton Road in the last 10, 15 years. And I feel the granting of this late-night application would further that degradation of Brompton Road. It's a real problem that Brompton Road is degraded for London, for residents, obviously, because I love this area, but it's also a problem for the whole community as a whole, because we have all the museums close to us. We also have Hyde Park. We have Harrods, Harvey Nichols. So the degradation of Brompton Road is actually the degradation of a very touristy area, and which is a source of major income, I suppose, for London and for both Westminster and RBKC. I would like to point out one of the other. So we object to this application because of the nature of Knightsbridge, which is commercial and residential. It's also close to very beautiful areas such as the Montpellier Square, which is a conservation area. One of the grounds also we object on is the noise that is created by those premises. I noted that there have been very little objections with regards to the noise created by Erol. But it's not because there's no objection, there's no complaints to the noise, that there is no noise. I live close to premises that create noise. I have noise effectively from 6 o'clock in the evening till 11 in the evening. So I've complained, I've stopped complaining because there's no point, and the councils only start really doing something when there's major noise. If there's the noise of little noise or just activity, you can't do anything about it. So what you do as a resident is you close your window, you adapt. But obviously when it is the summertime, you would like to open your window, but you can't because your child is sleeping. So you don't open the window, but you really wish you could. So I think it's important for for councillors to, for the councils to understand that it's not because people don't complain that there's not a major problem for them. We've also had, and I'm sure you're aware as councillors, we've had major rat running issues with regards, and noise, obviously the danger created with fast cars. I was saying rat running, but it's more fast cars on Brompton Road, on Exhibition Road. Having a license that stays until 3 o'clock in the morning will only encourage some people to go very fast on Brompton Road again, creating noise and creating danger for the residents late at night. I'm not in any way not worried, or my worry is not in any way lessened by the fact that it's a private hire. I note that there's only 30 or 40 chairs on the plans that are given, and there's a license requested for 50 people. I think if there's families events, they would be more extended family events, or as Councillor Wade was saying, there's always the risk of the extra member, and we exceed the 30 chairs that are on the plan, or 40 chairs that are on the plan, and we exceed the 50 people number. Also, with regards to the noise, and also it links with the people sitting down. I don't think you have a license. So basically there's windowsills on Brompton Road, and there's cushions that are put on the windowsills, and there's every day people sitting. I always thought you had a license for that. There's always people sitting on the windowsills and eating or drinking coffee. There's nice little brown cushions. I don't know if they're leather or fake leather, but these create a problem. My mother-in-law is a very extremely active 91-year-old woman. She lives in my building. She cannot go out when it's Christmas time. She cannot go out when it's a Saturday afternoon, because it's too dangerous for her. Because if someone knocks her over, and you can't, so Café Erol, it's a bit less problematic, but it is problematic on Hans Road, which is a residential road. It eats up the pavement, so elderly people, and we have a lot of elderly people in the area who've been living here 50 years, who I'm sure are like my mother-in-law and can't walk on Brompton Road, cannot walk on Hans Road because of the table and chairs. I'm also a mother of children, and I one day had someone, it was not on Café Erol, but it was on Café Concerto. A man had pulled his leg on the street. My daughter tripped, and she tripped so badly she could have ended up on Brompton Road because the chair was not where it was supposed to be. So I really hope that no more licensing for table and chairs will be given on Brompton Road and on Hans Road, because it's a very heavy footfall. Brompton Road is a red route. People go extremely fast. They don't go slower because the pavements are full. So I think it creates a major health and safety hazard. Sorry, I hope I'm not too fast. I noted that you have some kind of parking policy. Erol will encourage some kind of parking policy, encouraging people to go to a paid parking space a few meters away. I don't think it's a few meters away. It's on a little back street where there's the Harrods parking. To be honest, I don't think people will use it. I think they will go on the residence parking. I've noticed, because that's what I've noticed on my street, Ubers, private chauffeurs waiting and idling for hours for their clients to come, and they park on residence parking, or they even park when it's the evening on double yellow lights. So I don't see why what happens on my street would not happen until 3 o'clock in the morning on Hans Road. And then one of the reasons why I'm here today as well is we all know, I think there's police studies on that the more late night licenses are given, the more increase in crime there is. So granting this license for events which will not be family parties, and I don't see many family events until 3 o'clock in the evening. I host a lot, my husband's family actually, and I never host till 3 o'clock my husband's family. So these licenses will increase the crime in the area. One of my friends lived on Berkeley Square for a few months. She moved because of the crime. There were so many, she was saying she felt unsafe. And I really hope that the council will not grant an application which will lead to an increase in crime in our area, when there's already crime created by Harrods and the existing venues. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we go on, Mr. Cooper, are you speaking next? I would like to get the map up of where we are talking about to see how far away from the premises you live. And Mr. Cooper's premises that he's in charge of, I'd like to see that. It's not this map, it's that map, yeah.
Page 75 of the pack.
Oh, she's got it. Can you blow it up a bit, please? Zoom in. Do you want me to show you? Yes, that would be helpful. Where's she going?
So Hans Road is there, and I live, if you turn, if the little arrow turns right, on Brompton Road, continue further up, and then you turn left right here. Sorry, it was a bit, Lancelot Place, so it's on the top.
Yeah.
So you're over there, and show us, Holly, can you show us where the premises is?
The premises is a bit bottom
Down.
No, the premises is lower.
Right. Okay.
It's on the corner. Down. Relax.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Cooper, and you are representing a property where?
We represent 199 Knightsbridge Apartments.
Can you show us that, please, on the map?
I don't believe is it on
I want to see where you are.
that? No, it's above the map. Yeah, it's just above the map. Chair.
So we need to see the proximity of your premises, your properties.
From my understanding, Chair, there was no requirement for vicinity to be necessary.
I'm
just
asking you
handy.
for it. The committee wants to know.
Okay.
Are you starting to do the policy now for us? And procedure? Okay, so can we please see it?
It's not on this map.
Yeah, it's not on that map, Chair.
It's just above.
It's,
Yeah.
it's more or less.
It's above my street.
It's,
Yeah.
If you continue my street, sorry.
it's at the end of Lancelot Place, so you see the
Yeah.
beginning, yeah, more or less there.
Yeah, if you continue my street, you see his building.
Okay. Thank you, that was helpful, yes.
I'm really sorry, I forgot to mention one point which I thought was important.
One second, please. Yep.
I'm sorry, I forgot, there were so many things. So there's two entrances to Erol. One of them is at the corner of Brompton Road, which is open during the day. And then what I understood from the applicants is they intend to use a separate entrance, which is located on Hans Road, which is a residential road. So I think it would make the issues that I mentioned of noise and dispersing of people up until 3 o'clock in the morning more important.
Okay,
It would
thank you.
exacerbate it.
Thank you, that's very helpful. Mr. Cooper, can you tell us who you are and why you're here?
Thank you, Chair. I work for Winkworth Sherwood Solicitors. We're the agent for the Knightsbridge Residence Management Company. The KRMC is authorised to represent residents' interests through the submission of their representation, which you can find at number 10 in the licensing officer's pack. The KRMC represents 201 apartments in the Knightsbridge area, which are occupied by over 500 people, including families, the elderly, and single occupiers. I'd like to stress from the outset that the KRMC does not object to applications lightly, and it's unusual for our client to seek a refusal from the outset. They look to work with applicants. In this case, there was no offering from the applicant to work with my client's organisation. I would like to, first of all, just begin on the point of the licensing objective to prevent public nuisance. The applicant's case to propose a extension of the terminal hour to 3 a.m. from Thursday to Saturday will indefinitely lead to more nuisance just by the additional people leaving the premises at that time. Knightsbridge is a special place and is often referred to as a village. For its residents, it's crucial that any late-night offerings are balanced against the need for the area to remain a quiet and pleasant environment, whilst also recognising that Knightsbridge is known for its shops and hotels. The KRMC has a strong desire to retain this unique position that Knightsbridge is in and is keen to preserve its heritage and architecture. The termination hour is unacceptable because it will lead to further noise and disturbance along what is a already busy street in Brompton Road, not to mention the residential streets which correspond to it, such as Hands Road. This will be from noise from patrons arriving and departing, be it in taxis, chauffeur-driven vehicles, or their own cars. We note the applicant has not considered the lack of public transport available at that time, and also potential additional smokers on the pavement outside at 3 a.m., even though the applicant says that they'll limit this. The applicant has failed to consider the noise generated by persistent pickups that will be taking place if the new terminal hour is agreed. I'd also like to move on to the council's licensing policy, which this application appears to be almost in contravention of. Point 8.9 of the policy notes that where reps are received, the LA will not generally grant licenses beyond midnight. The committee will note that there has been 10 valid representations from residents which are concerned about public nuisance. The applicant has suggested several conditions which are found in the licensing officer's report. These do not resolve the issue of disturbance and nuisance. We fail to see how there can be any control of patrons once they have left the immediate vicinity of the premises. I would also like to point to 8.13, where the applicant needs to demonstrate that the license will not exacerbate the problem. As far as we're concerned, they have not done so. There's been no engagement from residents, and the conditions proposed do not prevent the crux of the issue here, which is patrons leaving the premises and creating noise whilst doing so. I'd also like to point to the issue of cumulative impact. I note there's no CIZ in play in the Royal Borough, but the KRMRC is concerned with the message that granting a license of this nature sends. Lots of companies would love to operate late-night venues in Kensington and Chelsea, and the message that is sent by granting this application is one that the council would potentially be willing to override their licensing policy to allow these licenses to continue until 3 a.m. The KMRC is keen for residents' interests to be protected without the need for there to be a bigger CIZ policy. I would like to briefly talk about the conditions which the applicant has proposed briefly, but I won't delve too greatly because these are not.
We're going into a condition session right after this,
my
then you will have your
apologies, Chair.
input.
Thank you. I would like to briefly talk about the tables and chairs which the applicant has mentioned in its conditions. Well, not mentioned, which exist on the side of the premises. Our understanding is that there is a payment license which exists for the premises which allows 2 tables and 4 chairs with a certain distance from the flower stall which you will find on Hands Road. I visited the premises on Saturday and there were 5 tables outside of the premises in addition to 4 chairs. There is also as Caroline was saying, there is also a row of leather almost cushions alongside Brompton Road. This would, to me and to the KMRC, almost seem like an invitation for smokers to hang around outside the premises at the hours until 3 a.m. As you'll note in our representation, it looks to me as if the payment license already appears to have been breached, how can we trust the applicant not to breach the terms of the extended license with the new conditions? As far as my client is concerned, the offering of residents' meetings, which we've just seen in the police conditions which have been agreed, and also the legal officer's suggested conditions, are too little too late as far as our client is concerned. There was no, as I've said before, there was no outreach from the applicant to our client. I think the applicant has clarified the query I was going to raise in regards to the premises plan, and that it is only the basement that is licensed. So to briefly summarise, Chair, in our view, the application is out of scope of the policy, and the imposition of those conditions do not make it in scope. Licensing is about striking a balance, and there is a reason why the council has developed a extended policy which puts the residents' needs to enjoy the area which they live away from public nuisance. It's our view that you will not be able to ensure and protect the residents from public nuisance, and the grant of this application would inevitably lead to further incidents of nuisance and also increase the risk of crime and antisocial behaviour, which would undermine the licensing objective to prevent crime and disorder. We wish the applicant well. However, in our view, this application is misconceived and outside the scope of the policy, and we would ask the committee to refuse the application in its entirety.
Thank you very much. And we'll now have questions from the committee. Councillor Burns, do you have any questions?
Yes, thanks, Chair. Okay, so there was a lot of info in there, guys. You're concerned about crime. Now, can you tell me a bit more? Have you noticed that there's been an increase in crime, particularly in that area? We're talking about the area of the restaurant, not where you live, because it is quite different, although it is a connecting road. Just tell us a bit more about that. And also, I'm interested to know about blocking the roads and stuff. We're not really discussing pavement license and stuff, but it is good to know how an operator runs. Does it block when you're walking down the street? Tell me more. What's the clientele like? Do they move out of the way? Just tell me an experience you're having on a day-to-day as you're walking around that area.
So I walk every day on Hans Road because I walk twice a day there because it's on my way to drop off my daughter to and from school. In the morning, it's not a problem. No one's awake in Knightsbridge at 8 o'clock, so it's not a problem. In the afternoon, there are many people on the street, and it's more difficult. Often cars idling, it's difficult. To be honest, the tables and chairs on Harold have not caused me a problem, and has not caused me a problem like the other ones. But they are still very close to Brompton Road, which is a problem. With regards to congestion, the junction of Hans Road and Brompton Road is extremely dangerous. It's a red route. Since there's a lot of cars, there's a taxi rank opposite Errol, waiting for customers coming in and out of Harrods. And I think since the closure, I don't know if it's the Park Lane cycle lane or the our South Carriage Drive being close to cars, but since because I've been living here so long, since those two have been created, there's much more cars that run that go up to Brompton Road, run into Hans Road, and then I don't know where they go. So it is a dangerous area as a mother. Crossing the road is dangerous. So it's true, if you increase the number of deliveries, it will be a problem, especially if it's people that are not regular deliveries, if it's caterers that do a delivery at Errol once a year because the customer likes this caterer, he will probably think, okay, I can just double park in front of the flower shop. The flower shop is very close to Errol, and create more chaos in a street that is already very chaotic in terms of car. It's also a very congested pavement. If you come to Christmas time, November and December, you hardly can't walk on those pavements, as I was mentioning before with my mother-in-law. So those tables and chairs, even though they have not disturbed me as an individual, they are a problem. I forgot what else. In terms of crime, that's what you were talking about. I'm really sorry for that. So I have my brother-in-law who it's not linked to Erol, but if you're talking about Hans Road, my brother-in-law witnessed a theft happening on a Saturday afternoon. Actually, it was not the theft didn't go through on Hans Road on a Saturday afternoon. On a Saturday afternoon, Hans Road is completely congested with cars. You can't go in. So anyway, there's 2 or 3 bicycles, electric bicycle, that circle some kind of 4x4, and they were trying to steal the man's watch. Very strangely, what happened is my brother-in-law suspects they were probably Eastern European, the guys in the car. The Eastern Europeans left their 4x4, came out of the car, and pursued the guys in the electric bikes. So no theft of the watch happened, but that's what they were trying to do, and I think it was a Saturday afternoon, 4 o'clock. And then one day, for Hans Road, I was walking with my daughter back from school, probably 4:30, and then I see this kid in a car, a kid because he was probably 20, in a car with masses of cash, which I suspect was cash from something that was not legal because he was a 20-year-old boy. He was not. I don't see why. I don't know if he had 10,000, like major amounts of cash. So that's what I witnessed. If I go in my street, Lancelot Place, I called the police. I called the police once because I heard major shouting. There were 2 guys with masks and electric bikes. I turned around and I never got mugged, but I heard a big shout, so I called the police. I was myself circled once by men on bikes on Lancelot Place. I don't attract crime, so no one took anything from me. Friends of my husband in front of Zuma witnessed someone being mugged.
Okay, I've got the point. I wanted to home into outside. Does Erol, the cafe, create more of a crime hub? And if so, explain. Because I understand, I got the memo, and Knightsbridge is a crime hotspot, but what is it about Cafe Erol that would, or does it or not, attract more crime?
So I don't think during the day it would attract more crime than another venue because it's just a cafe. So I don't think during the day it would. But I think any late time activities, especially if they say they're VIP people, any late time activity does bring out crime. So I don't see why Café Erol would be any different to any other venue. They would immediately attract crime. I understood from the client that their intention is to host families from overseas. I imagine their clients would be very wealthy individuals with jewelry. They would attract people that look for crime. I think it was probably about 9-10 years ago on Lancelot Place. So they asked. It was the Knightsbridge that they asked. They didn't ask my building. They asked. There was a man that was stabbed because he came out of a Ferrari. A taxi, so as to be mugged. A taxi driver, a black cab driver, kindly intervened to help the man leaving the fast car from being mugged, and the taxi driver was stabbed. That was so. Café Erol, I think, would attract these customers and would attract this crime.
Okay. So, but there is nothing specific to Erol that's happened in the last. How long has it been open here?
Not that
6
I know
months.
of. Not that I know of.
All right.
No.
Thank
That's
you.
your query. No, sorry for that.
And then
Sorry,
I have one more question. Does it not satisfy you at all that it's a restaurant sit down? It's not like a party venue. It's literally for a meal with alcohol. Does that maybe ease your work concerns? And if not, tell us.
So thank you for that question. No, it does not ease my concern in any way. So if I have to speak about my street, because I think that's why I came, because I don't want to say more experience, but I know more than, I think, someone who lives on a very, very residential street, the big problems of these venues. So I live on a street where there's just sitting restaurants. So I have beggars on my street, which are clearly there for the clients of the seated restaurants. And there's no, I don't think, to my knowledge, at the moment, we don't have any any bars. I think there was a bar a few years ago, but I don't think there's one. There's none, and we do have crime, a lot of crime on Raphael Street and Lancelot Place, where there's no bars. So I do feel these venues do attract crime, and I don't think you would be able, despite all the means that the police are putting or that the council will put, I don't think you can do anything to stop it. I don't know if I mentioned it in my earlier. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but I had a friend of mine who lived on Berkeley Square, and she moved. She told me she felt unsafe. Lots of thefts on the street. She told me one day she had the police come and ask. I don't know. She had some kind of CCTV. Ask her for her CCTV films. I don't think, as a council, you want to authorize these activity to benefit just for one business. And I do feel that, like I was saying my colleague, but he's not my colleague, that what my colleague was saying, it would set a precedent, and all the surrounding restaurants would ask for the same and would say, there's been no complaint of noise, there's been nothing.
I'm sorry. Right now we're doing a question session.
Okay, sorry.
So we will be asking you. You had your chance. Thank you. Okay.
Just, you mentioned something quite interesting, which is the people who are relocating to Brompton Road from Mayfair. Can you clarify that comment?
Yes, so I was part of the Knightsbridge Association for some years. And I've heard solicitors say it, people from the Knightsbridge Association say it. They know these things much more than me, and they've said that there has been an increase in licenses that have been asked, requested of the council to Westminster Council for Knightsbridge, because they know they're not going to obtain it in Mayfair or in Soho, so they ask it for my area, effectively, because I consider Hans Road to be my area.
So about one of the issues that has been raised is about pickups. And from memory, and you might correct me if I'm wrong, that the red route on Knightsbridge is 24/7, isn't it? Therefore, one of the potential reasons why we're getting complaints from Montpellier Street and Lancelot Place is actually that is where taxis would be waiting in anticipation of collection. Yeah. Is that? But you mentioned there was a taxi rank. Where is the taxi rank?
So on my street, there's a taxi rank waiting for a Zuma guest, and in front of Café Erol, there's a taxi rank right in front of it, waiting for Harrods customers.
Also Montpellier Street.
All right,
and also Montpellier Street has a taxi rank.
All right, so there and. All right, but most people use Uber now, don't they? You've mentioned the issue, which we can't cover, of tables and chairs. Have you witnessed people sitting on those leather things that you mentioned after, until what hour?
So I work and I have 3 children. I don't go out in the evening, so I've never witnessed it in the evening, but it's because I don't go out. I don't go out in the evening. I've witnessed it in the afternoon, though. So at 4:30, when I take my daughter back from school, I've noticed it. People sit. I always assumed they had a license for that.
Thank you very much.
And am I correct, you said that there was a taxi rank in front of the cafe?
So maybe there's not an official taxi rank,
right.
But there are taxis so I go on Hans Road every day. There's every day a taxi. So basically, Café Erol, so they have two entrances, one at the corner of Hans Road and Brompton Road, and then I understood one would be next to the flower shop today. And I always assumed there was a taxi rank opposite Café Erol and opposite the flower shop for the Harrods customers.
And are these taxis making any noise?
I wouldn't say. I don't think that they're making noise as such, but they're a nuisance for residents because they idle and you can't do anything about it, and so you end up as a resident and having idling all day, and so sometimes you also have early deliveries with trucks. I witness it in my. You have someone coming. They're supposed to open deliveries at 7. Very often it's earlier than that. But then even the truck will come at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Sorry, I was talking about the taxi stand.
Okay, yeah, they do idle, so it does create a nuisance, I think, for the residents. And there's always the people coming in and out of cars that do create. It does create noise. You can't open your window at night with a taxi rank below your window.
I guess, would you say that the taxis address an issue that Mr. Cooper raised, which is that there was no public transport at night?
Yeah. So again, I don't go out at night. So I think the Stoop still works at night, but there's no buses at night. So people would take private hire vehicles. If there's a party of 50 people going on, there would be at least 25. I assume there would be at least 25 cars. That would obviously create noise for the people, for the residents. Rat running. Also, another issue that could arise is people walking home. If they're locals, people walking home, and if they drank until 3 o'clock in the morning, it's the noise that they create. I know my brother-in-law, who also lives in the area, was mentioning he often had in front of his building people throwing up. The premise closed, but they had.
I'm going to intervene here because I have a question for you.
Okay.
You've quite rightly brought up many issues that are occurring in Knightsbridge. Can you give us anything specific that has to do with the Café Erol?
No, to the benefit of Café Erol, they have not created me any problems.
Okay, thank you very much.
But it doesn't mean that there's not a problems. It doesn't mean that the problems don't occur. For instance, my daughter who was tripped in front of Café Concerto, it could have happened on Hans Road. It just happened that it happened in front of Café Concerto. One thing going with the taxi rank, I always go in front of Café Erol where they put their table and chairs because I want to avoid walking next to the taxis who idle, and because she's young, I don't want the fumes.
Okay, I would like you to be specific, please. You've raised all the issues, and so has Mr. Cooper. But can you tell us specific things against the Café Erol? We're hearing their application today.
So I cannot say that they've caused me any nuisance, but I do note that so it's Mr. Cooper who witnessed it, and I didn't pay attention to it. Maybe they do have 5 tables and chairs every day in front of their cafe, but I do notice that there's regularly people sitting on cushions, which I always assume they have license. They had a license for their nice leather.
Are they smokers or drinking?
They're drinking coffee, or they're just sitting down and drinking. To be honest, I don't. I work. I have 3 kids. I don't spend my life looking at what other people do. But I do. So I know they sit there, and I do assume that I do worry, like Mr. Cooper, that they could be smoking in the evening on those windowsills. Even if they took out the leather couches, you can easily sit on the windowsills to have a smoke.
Yeah, I think, Mr. Williams, that is not against the law to smoke and sit on the cushions. Could you clarify that?
No, it isn't, Chair, and also payment licences end at 10 o'clock and we're not looking at those hours.
Right. Okay, thank you. And Mr. Cooper, if you have seen a breach on the tables, you're in property, why haven't you sent us a complaint?
Because I only witnessed it on Saturday, Chair.
Saturday daytime?
Yes, daytime.
You could still send us an email.
Okay, I will do
No,
that.
we work with complaints, so we wanted to know why that wasn't done.
My apologies, Chair. I will
Okay,
send it
maybe
after
in
this meeting.
future,
Yep.
that would be helpful to us.
Yep.
Okay, I have nothing further, no. Is it relevant?
It's about the TENS because they've been working. I kind of want to mention it.
Okay.
Just one more thing. Cafe Errol has been running on TENS, which is a temporary events notice, till 5 a.m. Earlier in the year, quite a number of them. And there's a real lack of complaints. I'm not saying that there should be any complaints, but there was none. So we have to take into consideration these kind of things, you know, and I'm just curious as to why, because you are the objectors, that means you're objecting to all the things that you've spoken about, which are relevant things to have concerns about, but we need to have tangible evidence to say, okay, well, they've done their TENS, now where are the complaints, or where's the, you know, because we don't have any of that. So, and everything you've given is sort of hearsay, and I need more.
Speculation.
Yeah, it's all speculation. So we want some sort of directly connected to Errol, and you know they did operate TENS. Did it affect any of the residents? Have you received any complaints internally, perhaps, or whatever? But it has to be only to do that, not because maybe this might happen, if that's.
I understand your point of view is that you want to try to be based on facts rather that you have to, and that's because you try to be neutral. But I think there's one thing that is important. It's not because people don't complain that there's not a problem. People don't always know they have to complain. So for instance, with regards to early deliveries, I had to put up, so Zuma used to deliver from 5 o'clock every day, lots of trucks. I didn't know that. I'm French, as you can tell, and in France, deliveries have to happen between 5 and 7. So I always assumed they were allowed to do something they were not allowed to do because I'm French, and so I had to put up with the early deliveries and with the noise because, so it's not because people don't complain that there's not a problem. And I can assure you, living on the street where there is Zuma, late night activities does bring problem, and there will be an increase in crime and noise. But I understand, I don't have any, if that's your query, I don't have any.
Okay, so maybe someone else could, maybe you could answer, no, he can't speak. Maybe you could answer it in relation to Cafe Errol.
So in relation to Cafe Errol, I mean, the response pack has one incident of a noise complaint. I know that you pointed out the temporary event notices. That obviously only provides a brief snapshot. I understand from the report pack there was only, I think, there's about 11 TENS here between March 2025. So obviously it's not a large enough time frame for there to be those complaints. Also, I think the main issue is there are persistent noise complaints on Brompton Road. And it would be...
I'm going to say it one more time. In relation to Cafe Errol, we are doing a case on Cafe Errol, and just for reference, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, or is it 1, 2, 3? How many are there? TENS, yeah, how many TENS are there?
I think licensing
3?
has previously confirmed that the 21-day allocation of TENS has been taken up, so they've used
Oh, it
up
has.
their quota.
Okay, sorry.
That's my understanding,
Yeah,
because I
this is
asked
all I
that
can,
question.
yeah.
And it was open till 5 a.m. And lots of residents I work with know to complain, especially if a business is doing something out of the ordinary and if it's affecting them. So I just want some evidence in regard to Cafe Errol. I'm asking you guys to really help with that.
Is it possible that the noise and nuisance reports made by residents went to Westminster rather than RBKC, and do you have reference to them?
Can I just add also, I mean, obviously it's stronger evidence if it's documented, but obviously all evidence, be it oral, even if it's not formally conveyed to the committee, can be taken into account. It's just a matter of how much weight is attached to it. So everything that is said, it can be considered in the round. So I don't want you to think that they're not listening.
I mean, I would just mention that it could be possible that any complaints on Cafe Errol have gone to Westminster. I wouldn't want to make any assumptions on that, but my colleagues here tell me that there's a lot of noise complaints about Brompton Road on Westminster, on the Westminster Council website. I know that.
Just in relation
on the reported page.
So, Knightsbridge is quite a heavy, congested area. We're well aware. We know the area, and there are lots of restaurants, lots of shops and stuff that are open, and it's a very busy area. But I need the issues and concerns to relate to this specific case, and that means if there's crime that's been connected to Cafe Errol, maybe someone was mugged on the way out of Cafe Errol, or literally coming in, or if there was someone creating a scene that was in the vicinity, maybe in the outside smoking area. I need it to be in relation to that. I don't want to. I just. Yeah, we need to know more details. Only that. Please don't talk about Lancelot or.
No, I just have one point that I think is important. I have 2 points that I think are important. It's very. I understand that you can link a fight in front of, maybe if they have, like for instance in Zuma they always have someone begging in front of Zuma. But the mugging that my friend witnessed, that my husband's friend witnessed at 8 o'clock on Raphael Street, was it someone that was coming in Zuma? Was it someone that was going to the Bulgari? Who knows? But it was linked to that, because it's the person who was in the you can't. I think it's a bit tough.
I think
Okay,
never mind. Never mind.
We're going to move on now. Any questions from our legal advisor?
No questions. I think everything will come out in the draft condition
Okay.
session.
Any questions from the applicant?
Thank you, Chair. No questions.
No? Okay. At this stage, I'd like to ask our legal advisor to deal with the draft conditions and any other queries that she may have, and we can all participate in that.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, so this is just considering the variation. We're just looking at Thursday, Friday, Saturday extended hours for on-sales of alcohol in the basement area and late night refreshment in the basement area. We're not looking at the wider issues because we can't take away what they've already got. You've obviously received the draft conditions, which I've circulated with my wording in red, and obviously today we've been given this extra sheet which kind of elaborates and duplicates some of the things. So what I'm going to do, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the councillors to discuss hours, because obviously we thought we were initially looking at 3 o'clock, and obviously it seems as though you're now saying 2 o'clock to end licensable activities, but then closing time to be 2:30 or 3. What did you say?
2:30. Certainly everyone off by 3.
So LAs end at 2, close at 2:30. So that's what you're proposing. So I think I just want, bearing in mind what's in the locality, what the councillors, let's discuss hours first of all, then we'll go into conditions.
How would you feel about being consistent with other premises in the area and stop serving at 1 o'clock and everyone out by 1:30, which most of the local areas, that is their license, most of the premises. That way it's consistent,
Madam Chairman, thank you very much for this question. Again, this takes us back to what the application is actually for. The other premises are open to public. We are not open to public. That is the difference between our premises and other premises. So we do not want to be in line with any other premises because we are not open to public. It's a private function only. So we would like to keep the hours as we agreed and reduce it with the police until 2 o'clock and everyone out by 2:30. That is a very important, I guess, a point, because The other premises who operate until 1 o'clock, they are open to all members of the public. We are not.
Can I ask you something? Because you're talking about a dining experience. So I know after Ramadan and Eid, people do eat late. Are you catering to that kind of a clientele?
Those will be covered with the temporary event notices, which we also did in the past. This could be well used also for that kind of functions too.
Okay. And are those customary times to eat between 12 and 3 in Turkey or something? Or 12 to 2, sorry?
It's until sun rises, so it really depends of, if we were to cater for those clients, obviously the alcohol will not be available on those particular days. It will be only for late night refreshment, and it is, I understand, until about 4:30, but those hours will be dealt with separate application by way of temporary event notices.
Okay, I'd like to ask our solicitor now, what parameters does the committee have to reduce their hours from 2 o'clock to 1 o'clock?
Well, at the end of the day, the committee is going to listen to what everybody has to say, all the representations made, and it is within the committee's gift to make a final decision on the hours. Obviously, if the applicant isn't happy, they've always got a right to appeal, but any decision that you make needs to be based on the evidence before you, and it has to be justified in the full decision. So it is within your gift, but subject to those parameters.
Thank you.
Sorry, it's me again. Right, okay, so we've had a little discussion about hours. You don't want to move. Do you have any comments on hours, what you think are acceptable hours? Are you just saying refuse the application, or are you saying...
We would agree in line with the policy that it should be midnight as the term allow.
So you want it to stay as it is?
Yes, please, thank you.
Let me just write that down. Stay as is. Okay, fine. Well, we've discussed hours. Right, okay. Now, I've touched on earlier on existing condition 20, which just basically, so obviously we're talking about now the later hours, but existing condition 20, which says, 20 and 24. So existing condition 20 says non-alcoholic beverages, including drinking water, shall be readily available to customers throughout the permitted hours for the sale of alcohol. But what about, in relation to the extended hours, substantial food as well as non-alcoholic beverages being available? So it's not just pure alcohol sales, and can I just have your view on that?
I think I indicated when you raised it earlier that I thought it was a good suggestion. I don't have anything against what you're suggesting.
Okay. Do you have any comments on that? Okay. Sorry.
I'm really sorry, it's not a comment on that, but my colleague next to me told me, I should have mentioned it, and it's true, there was a murder next to Harrods in 2003.
Okay.
So, 2023, and he mentioned, so this one, the one next to Harrods, was a very well-known one, so I was aware of that one, and he mentioned to me another murder for a watch in spring this year in front of the Park Tower Hotel. So it was not linked, the Park Tower Hotel was not linked to Café Erol, but it can be a dangerous area. And I'm sorry for...
Okay, I'll make a note of that, but let's get back on track. Okay, and condition 24, alcohol shall only be sold by waiter-waitress service for consumption by customers seated at tables. Are you happy for me to add in eating a substantial meal for the extended hours too?
I have no difficulty with that.
Okay, and do you have any comments on that? Okay. Okay. Right. Okay, so we're going to have, obviously it's a bit confusing having two bits of paper, so I'll go through my one first of all, then we can go through the separate one. So, number 26, can I have your views on my proposed wording in red, both sides? And obviously, I accept that you objectors don't want this application to go ahead, but obviously, if the committee are minded to grant it, it will be helpful to have your comments. Mr. Sunderland, can I have your views on my proposed wording, number 26?
I think it provides certainty and clarity. I think it's a good revision. Thank you.
Okay, any comment? Can I just ask you to just chip in if you've got comments? Number 27, it's already covered by 24. Number 28, can I have your views on that, please? Mr. Sunderland?
Again, I would say it provides clarity and certainty and would agree.
Okay, thank you. Number 29, can I have your views on that? Obviously, my wording in red. Yes, sorry.
Councillor Burns would like to ask a question.
So for 28, SIA licensed, they mentioned that they would sort of maybe have someone escort people up to the smoking area. So could we sort of, is that where you could maybe enforce that or something? Rather make sure that they have someone with them to ensure that the
Could that be put in the smoking one? Because I think they said it wouldn't necessarily just be SIA. I think they said it might be the duty manager, not just SIA.
Fine.
So if you chip that, bring that in
Fine.
at that point,
Thank
that'd be
you.
good. Sorry, number 29, your comments, please, Mr. Sunderland.
Again, I would say it provides clarity and certainty, so I would agree.
Mr. Cooper?
I'd like to briefly just reiterate my point from earlier that the dispersal policy, the applicant will not have that much control over any patrons after they have actually left the immediate vicinity of the premises.
Thank you. Okay, I'll make a note of that. Thank you. I think we've established that it's going to be on the basement floor where the licensable activity is going to take place for number 30. I don't think there's a need to put that in as a condition. 31, you've already said the music's going to be incidental and you've not applied for regulated entertainment. 32 I've dealt with, and 33 you've already said that there won't be any unaccompanied minors, and obviously you've got challenge 25. Right, so moving on to my suggested additional conditions. There isn't a drinking up condition on the existing licence, and obviously I'm conscious that this variation relates to the extended hours. Usually there's a half-hour gap which you've proposed for the proposed licence between 2 o'clock for licensable activities to end and 2:30 to close, but obviously we can't touch the existing licence where the hours are the same. So are you happy with this wording along the lines of consumption of alcohol on the premises shall cease and the premises shall close to patrons and all patrons shall be off the premises no later than, I think it's 23 on Sundays to Wednesdays, which is what you've got as it is. And then I've put, then you're suggesting 02:30 on Thursdays to Saturdays when they'll be off, when it's, you know,
Correct.
close. Okay.
Correct.
Do we have any comments on that from the objectors? No? Okay, thank you. Obviously, it's for the councillors to decide the ultimate times. Right, number 35, I think this is where your comment comes in, Councillor Burns. So, patrons permitted to temporarily leave and then re-enter the premises after midnight, because that's what you've got up to now, on Thursdays to Saturdays to smoke or take a telephone call or for whatever reason, shall be limited to 5 persons at any one time, and you want them to be monitored by either the SIA or the duty manager, whoever's on duty then. And they won't be able to take any drinks or glasses with them. Obviously, you haven't got off sales anyway, but I'm covering the soft drink scenario. Are we okay with that?
Yes, I am. Sorry, there is a question mark up to the 5, but we're happy with 5 numbered. I didn't quite catch, and my apology, you may have covered it, but I didn't register, about the supervision of that
So
area.
I think Councillor Burns, when the 5 people go outside after midnight to smoke or to take a phone call, she wanted it to be clear that they would be accompanied upstairs or monitored outside, or?
So accompanied or monitored, basically making sure that they're observing to the rules, not loud, not causing chaos, you know, that kind of thing.
If it was to be added that the area is to be supervised from 12, does that cover it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably the obviously the devil is in the detail, but I think I understand and I think we're in the same place.
Yeah, I'm just checking the current conditions to see if it's, I don't think it's covered by that already. No, it's not.
I would just briefly raise on the sort of the policing policy on the people leaving to smoke is how easily can that be enforced? Because if a patron's sitting downstairs and just goes, I'm going for a smoke, realistically, how much can a staff member do to stop them?
Well, yes, there is that, but obviously, from an enforcement point of view, if there's more than 5 people outside, then strictly speaking, it can be enforced.
Okay.
If they're causing a nuisance or there's a series of nuisance, then there's the review mechanism. Yeah, I take on board your comment, though, yes, and obviously how far afield they wander, etc. I do take on board your comment. Thank you.
If a condition is imposed, then we are required to put in place a policy and system which works. In relation to smoking, people have to go up the stairs. They will be seen by a member of staff or by the manager of the event, and they will ensure that somebody supervises the smoking area.
Yeah,
there's no reason to go upstairs other than to go to smoking or to leave.
Yeah, you've already put in your number 2 on this separate sheet about monitoring. A member of staff shall monitor the outside area. I've just noticed that. Okay, thank you. I'll come to those ones in a sec. Sorry.
Sorry, it's just in practice, if people leave or speak in front of the premises, there's nothing they're going to be able to do. If they walk away noisily, or if they go and speak on another street, what will they do? So for instance, they're not going to do anything if people cross the street to speak and spend 30 minutes continuing their party. There's nothing they can do. Once a license is granted, the street belongs to everyone. And is this, so I witnessed it on my street. Raphael Street is like that. Sorry, I go back to my experience. Yeah. I know it's not...
It's relevant. In relation to that, what would appease you with that? This is what you're here for, right?
This is why we're suggesting 5 people at a time.
So in the... No, but what we are working towards it. So I'm asking you, well, she's asking you actually, what would, if this was part of the license...
There's nothing Cafe Errol can do to stop the late night living hell that late night activity will grant.
Allowed to speak, first of all. Yeah. And for example, though, let me just give an example. Not that I'm trying to stay neutral here because I haven't come to a decision yet. But for example, you guys are not engaging. So on this matter alone, it says 5 question mark people to go to smoke. Right.
Should we say 2, for instance?
It's not for me to say, it's for you to understand that this is the negotiating time, so you need to put what you want across.
Only if the committee are minded to grant the application. They haven't made a decision yet. They'll make that in private session.
So I'm not a licensing lawyer. I'm very worried with this application. Should we say 2 in case you do grant it? So what could we do if...
Nobody outside for smoke.
Right, you want nobody outside.
Okay,
You're agreeable to 5 outside between those extended hours till 2 o'clock.
So I do agree with his name is Francesco. I do agree with Francesco that there should be no one allowed outside because it's... Oh, sorry. Okay. I do agree with him that no one should be allowed outside because it does create noise, especially if it's late night activities, especially if it's people in the summer that come temporary to London. They may want to continue their party outside or speak a lot outside. So I think it would be good to have no one, to not allow people to go outside.
Obviously, smoking isn't a licensable activity, so there's a limit to how much the council can actually curtail it. But obviously we can address the situation by conditions. So obviously that's why, 5, 2, 0, the committee will take away what you've said and make a decision. Councillor Wade.
Thank you.
Given the fact that this was a bank, you're going to probably have people having poor reception on their mobiles. And so therefore, how do you quantify somebody as a smoker? Or how do you quantify how many people have come out to make a call?
Well, it's 5 overall, isn't it? No matter what the purpose is.
It's just for clarification because I think that somebody coming out for a smoke might not make a noise, but somebody who is on a telephone call may make a noise.
Also bear in mind they can't take drinks with them either, so
Sorry?
they can't take drinks with them either, which usually encourages lingering, but yes.
No, but I'm just saying they would have come from a small contained space, come out into the open. That's kind of, if they're in Hants Road, it's going to be, it's quite narrow, it's like a canyon, and so therefore noise does carry. And so I just, not sure whether it's relevant to this point, but actually part of the job of the person monitoring it must be to control the noise.
Just further to Councillor Wade's point, I hadn't actually considered people going out, for example, to take a phone call. Would there be any chance that condition could be amended slightly to include just people generally leaving the premises to re-enter?
I've scribbled down a possible condition for the applicant consider. There shall be no new customers admitted to the premises after midnight or a certain time up for discussion. So, I mean, obviously that doesn't stop people coming out, but obviously I was going to consider about containing extra people coming in at certain times. But thank you.
I do think it's an important one. I do think it's a really good condition that you prevent people from coming after a certain time, because one of the things that worries me with this application, even though they say it's a private hire event, is people going to have dinner in Mayfair or wherever, and then continuing their party at this place, which is supposed to be a private event area.
But remember, they've agreed to a condition that if they go there, if they want alcohol, they've got to have it seated, waiter-waitress service, and served with
food. Okay.
So unless they want a double meal,
okay,
they won't be able to do
But
that.
that won't prevent late night rat running.
So, Chair, I do have a concern here. I've stayed quiet for some time, but I am concerned that somebody that you said shouldn't be speaking and shouldn't be addressing the committee is actually addressing
He is
the
actually
committee.
registered. I think we've since been confirmed he is actually a registered
It would have been
objector.
helpful if that had been clarified.
Sorry,
I think.
he is a registered objector, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
In relation to the smokers, and I'm listening to the discussion which is going on, I think there are two things, if I may say, which I think I can help with, so which I will raise now. If it assists in relation to a last admission time, then as they are pre-booked, people should be arriving at the start. I accept that some people may arrive late, and to cover that, if it assists, I would offer a last admission time of 1 o'clock. If it assists, I'm not looking to say that people will be coming in at 1 o'clock, but I am looking to cover people who may turn up late. In relation to smokers, I think the 5 persons was partly a discussion with the authority, partly a discussion with the police. It's necessary, I think, to have, if the licence is granted, a number of people. I think there needs to be an allowance for it. There are 4 areas that are identified. I've indicated that I don't think all 4 will be used at the same time, but they could be. Therefore, if I could suggest 4 persons, that I think would cover
Instead
everything.
of 5?
Instead of 5, I think that would cover all eventualities for ourselves. There are obviously conditions already in relation to not taking food and drink outside. It is a supervised area, and certainly to us, supervision means encouraging people to remain quiet. If they don't, then of course the ultimate sanction is, well, you can only come back, get your coat, and you'll have to go. And bluntly, that's where we're at. I don't anticipate, certainly from my experience of dealing with premises around the country, if people are told to do something, generally speaking, they do it in this type of scenario. Hopefully that helps.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so 36, I think we've touched on the residents' meeting condition. Can I just have your view on number 36, please? Yeah, let him speak first.
Sorry, failing on multitasking there. I was just making a note of what I'd said.
Okay.
36, again, I think the wording here is very clear and precise, and I don't have any negative comments. I think it's a helpful.
Yeah, they're helpful. I mean, any condition, any issues that generally arise can be discussed. That's why we put the condition on. Sorry, you wish to speak? Sorry.
After you.
Okay. No, it was with regards to condition 35, when you were mentioning the latest someone. Sorry, it's with regards to condition 35 when you were mentioning the last hour when when guests could go in. I think 11 o'clock is a good time for to have.
They've already got 12 o'clock. Though. You can't take away what they've already got. You have to bear that in mind.
Thank you for
that. They suggested 1 o'clock, and obviously they're asking to stop licensable activities at 2 but close at 2:30. So that's what they're saying. Do you have any other comments on that?
Regarding 36, the Knightsbridge Association notes that there has been no effort to approach the association to discuss this application, and that's a very worrying precedent. Also regarding this, there has been a lot of applications for late night nightclubs, Namos in Montpelier Street, just to mention a few, and this is going to set a very dangerous precedent.
I think they've made clear it's not going to be a nightclub and it's not going to be open to the public.
50
yes.
people at 2 a.m. is not a family reunion.
Okay, so Councillor Burns is just suggesting that we name within condition 36 the local residents associations. I don't know them off the top of my head, but...
I can suggest two if you like.
Go on then.
The Knightsbridge Association and the Knightsbridge Neighbourhood Forum, neither of which have been approached yet.
Knightsbridge Association and Knightsbridge... What was the other
Neighbourhood Forum.
Neighbourhood.
They're linked, it's the same people, but they do different things.
Okay, and I can find out from licensing who the actual, if there's any other ones closely located nearby.
I think defining groups is helpful, so I can't, again, I wouldn't have any objection to adding or specifying groups to include those groups. I wouldn't want to exclude anybody.
No, that's fair enough. Right, I think, oh, hang on, sorry, we need to just quickly go through any extra ones which haven't been already covered on my sheet. So we've already discussed 1, we've already discussed 2, we've already discussed 3, and obviously I can take on board any extra bits you've put in yours that I haven't put in mine. Number 4, customers arriving by car shall be advised to park. Yeah, I mean, you can direct people, you can't force people. Yes.
It was with regards to condition 3, ensuring that patrons do not loiter outside the premises. So I speak from my experience. We always have loiter coming from we have a pub on Raphael Street and Zuma, and we regularly have loiter from them. So I think what would be, I don't know whether it's feasible, but what would be really helpful is that they do hire, that their cleaner does come around. And
I think they've already got a condition about cleaning litter patrols. Existing condition 18. Yeah, and someone will be accompanying the smokers, and if they do have a dispersal policy, obviously it will have to address how they're going to manage people outside when they're leaving the premises.
But for instance, so when we find, so I've had bottles of beer, or I have, or I can have coffee mugs, so they don't come from, they don't come from, but I have coffee mugs regularly on my street. it would be good, what would be more efficient, because it's just vain words. I don't sound rude because I shouldn't be, but to me, saying that ensuring there's no loitering, it's a bit empty words. How can they do it?
Well, they can ask people to move on or go back inside the premises, can't they?
They can, but if they do move on, they'll just move on into our residential streets where there are the taxi ranks, and not just Hans Road where the taxi ranks, Montpelier Street where the taxi rank, and so they're just moving the nuisance over to our residential street. And so the Knightsbridge Association notes that there's very little that Cafe Errol can do to solve the late night nuisance. So if we grant this today, we find the conditions are quite pointless. It will create a big disturbance for all residents in Knightsbridge.
Okay, thank you. Obviously, the councillors can take a view on what wording goes in the conditions, but thank you for making that point.
Going back to 36, sorry, about the local residents association ward councillors, as this is impacting on RBKC and Westminster, I would suggest that we reach out to the councillors of that ward, because at least they're large residents associations, but they're sometimes smaller residents associations in blocks. And I just think that that probably be more representative given the location.
You're talking about WCC ward councillors here, as
So-
well as you're talking about
Yes,
Kensington
but I'm
and Westminster.
specifying that it should be
So we need to find out-
RBKC and Westminster.
So depending on what the ward is and what the adjoining ward is, we can find out who the councillors are.
I disagree with that. I think we're trying to micromanage a place here. I think you've presented a very good case, and they have presented a case. We're professional people. A lot of us have been in the business. We understand, and we are residents. I think if you try to micromanage their business, it's self-defeating, because we cannot control a lot of those things that you are bringing up. So I think let's keep an open mind. Leave it with us. We will figure something out that's fair to everyone. But to come in with draconian measures that cannot be enforced, they will not help you. And they are offering to meet with the resident associations twice a year, which is very fair. Most people have it once a year. They are really trying to engage, and maybe they didn't in the past, maybe they didn't know how, they aren't English, they're from abroad. And I can tell you that licensing in Turkey is very different to here. It's a late night economy. So I think we need to have faith in the process and not try to micromanage. It's not going to make you happy. People go out of business, and it's not going to make them happy. Okay.
I agree with you.
But you want to say?
Thank you. That maybe a local licensing officer consultant should have recommended speaking to the local resident associations, and I don't know if that conversation was had, but evidently they decided against it.
Not what happened. We're discussing because we don't know what happened.
Fair enough.
We're discussing a policy for going forward, okay?
That's fine. And my second point is, I agree with you. We don't want to micromanage. We do not want to set a dangerous precedent. What happens once these guys are allowed? What happens if Namos in Montpelier Street applies for it? What happens if Café Faz is across the street? What if Knightsbridge, because of this dangerous precedent, becomes late night economy? This would be living hell for all the
We got
residents.
your point, but that's...
So it's not just about Cafe Errol, it's about the bigger picture here.
We are dealing, thank you for your contributions, they're very helpful, but we are here dealing with a specific application. We are not dealing with licensing policy here, okay? So I hear what you're saying, I know why you're worried. We can only deal here with facts. We can take into account what you're saying. So let's be realistic, okay? I certainly don't think you want to sit next to shops that are closed either. So let's try to be helpful to both. We try to find a balance between the residents and businesses. Okay?
Thank you,
Carry on,
Chair.
please.
Yeah, it's helpful to have everybody's thoughts, though, so it can be taken into account in the process when the councillors make their decision. Thank you. Okay, so moving on to number 5, there'll be no shisha, which they've confirmed. That's fine. Number 6, the consumption of alcohol shall be restricted to inside the licence. Yeah, that's fine. It's on sales only. We've already said in another condition there won't be drinks taken outside. We've already got staff training and Challenge 25, I think, as existing conditions anyway. Number 8, we've discussed residents' meetings as a separate condition. Number 9, that's already covered by condition 24. Number 10, we can add that if the councillors consider necessary. And number 11, a written management plan shall be maintained and implemented at the premises covering operational stands. That's fine. There can be a management plan in addition to the dispersal plan policy, which we've discussed. I don't think there's anything else. I think we've kind of covered quite a lot, to be perfectly honest with you. And obviously there's a lot for the councillors to go away and have a think about and weigh up. So just to be clear, 2 o'clock licensable activities then you're asking for, 2:30 close, Thursdays to Saturdays, and the licensable activities are just confined to the basement in the letter E. So I think that's it from me. Back to you, Chair. Oh.
One last answer to Councillor Evans' point, respectfully. There is an incredible amount of footfall next to Harrods. Harrods, this is just next to Harrods. Harrods is one of the biggest attractors in the country. So I don't think this shop needs more footfall at 2 a.m. in the morning rather than the one that it has in the already conceded license hours. Thank you.
So I completely also agree that, so I agree with Francesco, there's a big activity going on in Café World. They're not going to go bankrupt. And also what I've noticed, so I agree that businesses should not go bankrupt. I think we're all the same. But what I've noticed from Mayfair is that now people don't want to live in Mayfair. I know the prices of property in Mayfair have gone down. And I think one of the reasons it went down is that people who lived throughout the years in those areas didn't want to stay.
I'm sorry, there's no summing up.
Okay, sorry. So
okay, thank you very much for your contributions.
May I add a few words, Madam Chairman?
Of course.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to talk again. I've been doing licensing since 2001 under the old licensing act and new one. I can see Madam Chairman and other councillors are very experienced. We are grateful for your input today. You've given yourself at least 5 opportunities to the residents if they can link any existing problems to our premises, and also Councillor Laura 9 times she asked if any incidents or any disturbance can be linked to our premises, and answer was very clear. They can't link any single existing problem. What I'm worried more about, Madam Chairman and councillors, I believe you've been put under pressure a lot by the solicitor and the residents in terms of opening, allowing
I'm sorry, you're not allowed to sum up either.
I'm not summing up, I'm just...
Do you have a question? Or do you have a but, like our friend over here?
I just would like to perhaps then a question to yourself. I just would like to find out how much do you feel under pressure. If you were to grant this license, do you believe others will follow our...
Can I just step in here? Obviously, the councillors are going to go into private session to make the decision. It's not to discuss in an open forum. As Mr Cooper referenced earlier on, the Kensington and Chelsea, they don't have a cumulative impact zone.
Exactly, and each application should be considered on its own merits.
And I will make that very clear in the full decision. There is no cumulative impact zone. Each application on its own merits. We've heard lots of evidence today. So rest assured, everything will be in the parameters. And just to be clear, we're only focusing on the extended hours. We're not looking to take away what you've already got. We're just focusing on the impact of the extended hours and whether any conditions can be added, if the committee were minded to grant, whether conditions can ameliorate the concerns or whether to refuse or what hours. There's a whole mix to be considered, but we're not going to discuss our decision in open forum.
And also, I'd like to add, a lot of the premises you talked about are on the Westminster side, and you are very free to send your complaints to Westminster as well. Thank you. No comment.
I do. Sorry.
Do our licensing officers have anything to add? Nope.
No, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And our governance officers, anything to add?
Just to re-clarify that Mr. Francesco Rento's representation is in the main bundle. It's on page 34, so for the avoidance of doubt, so he does have a valid representation. Thank you.
Thank you. So we've reached the end of the meeting. Everyone, I think, had a very fair chance to present their objections, their support. The committee now has all the information needed, and we will retire to make our decision in private session. We will not announce the decision today. Instead, the hearing will be closed. A summary determination will be sent to the parties within 5 working days of today's hearing, and a full decision will follow as soon as possible thereafter. The time limit for appealing the decision will not commence until the full decision has been sent to the parties. Thank you all for your attendance and your attention to detail and all your contributions. Thank you to the officers as well.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Pleasure.